The silence is quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we would take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet.
Good afternoon. You're tuned into Ability Matters, the program that covers matters to do with abilities, disabilities and everything in between. We are one of the longest running disability-related shows in the world, starting as Headway On Air all the way back in 2007 and now brought to you by My Home Living Care, an NDIS registered disability support organisation.
Yes, that's right, Sean. Good afternoon. This is Ability Matters, and I'm your host, Tony Scott-Emilio, and with me as per normal, or not normal, but yeah, my original usual co-hosts, Beck and Alan, are not with us today, so but we do have, we've got Sean here, as per the voice would say, usual.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm very normal, I think.
Doesn't matter. Keep the illusion strong. Yes. And here we go. What do we have here to add to the show this morning?
We've got Jake, a physio today. Did you want to do some weather first? Or,
okay.
No?
Do we have to do the weather? Okay.
No,
well, as you can see, if you look outside, it's looking pretty sunny at the moment, but officially we've got here the weather for Wollongong Tuesday, partly cloudy, light winds becoming north by northeasterly, 15 to 20 kilometres an hour in the middle of the day, then tending northwest by northeasterly in the early afternoon. 10% chance of rain, only about less than a millimetre. Moderate fire danger rating. High UV, however, so, you know, all the cliche stuff, slip, stop, slap and all that kind of thing. So
top temperature 24, so a bit of a warm one today. We've got some...
the actual numbers. I didn't read that
weather.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be pretty hot today. But
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm in the chair replacing Beck. She couldn't make it this week. Alan's unfortunately not doing too well with some things, in mobility especially. So, he's off on the bench for a little while, but hopefully he'll come back soon. I'm in today to talk to Jake Chapman, a physio, and we're going to talk a little bit about his life and some of the things he does. So I was about to say good morning always today. Good afternoon, Jake.
Good afternoon, that's right.
G'day, thanks for having me.
G'day's even safer. Good work.
I should say that. That's better. I can't go. I usually say morning. So, welcome to VOX FM.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm excited.
Cool. So Jake's a physio, as I said. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But as always, I like to start off with a little bit about the person behind the job, find a little bit more about the person. And Jake, tell us a little bit about growing up. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up on the outskirts of Canberra. Schooled in Canberra, but grew up on a little farm just outside. So,
what kind of farm?
Mostly like for fun, really. It was only 16 acres, so a few horses, but I rode them when I was quite young, but my brother really got into them.
Okay.
But yeah, motorbikes. Yeah, we had a pool, so it was great. Backyard footy, so backyard cricket.
Didn't grow like wheat or anything like that? Or?
No, it wasn't for economical purposes.
Like hobby farm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although if you ask my dad, he'd tell you he's a farmer, not an IT dude. But
is that for tax purposes? Or?
Well, I know which way he made his money.
All right, and you had some brothers or sisters, or you mentioned one brother there?
Yeah, one little brother. He's probably one of my best friends these days, so it wasn't too much of a start, but...
brotherly love, best of enemies, worst of friends all the times.
He's getting married in March, and he asked me to be his best man, so pretty excited.
A good sign. Yeah. Okay. That's always a good sign when they ask you.
Yeah, I was pretty honoured actually, so yeah, we talk most days, and he's a good man.
Yeah, cool. And that was it, just one brother?
Yeah, just the one brother, but I've got a very close family unit, so lots of cousins and stuff that are almost like brothers
and
anyway.
Uncles and all that,
yeah.
Christmases and all that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So not always by blood, but, you know, you got those families that just, you've been a part of your life forever, so they almost feel like they're
considered
blood cousin
family.
anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember having some of those growing up, and it wasn't until I was a bit older I realised they actually weren't relatives. I called them auntie and uncle and everything, and then I was a bit disappointed.
That's right.
They're still family, but they weren't directly related. So
yeah, it just gets confusing with I've been with my girlfriend for 4 years now, but I'll be like, oh, this is my brother, but she's like, I thought you had one. I was like, I had one real one, but
one official,
one fake one. And so Canberra, and then you finished high school, and what did you do? Go straight to uni, or did you run around?
Yeah, finished high school and went straight to UC for University of Canberra.
Okay.
And I was there for 5.5 years.
5.5?
Yeah. So roughly, I think I had to start in a different degree.
Okay.
And then transferred into physio.
What did you start with?
I started with exercise science because they didn't actually have physio in Canberra.
Okay.
And I was only 17 when I started uni, and I didn't want to move away because I was still a bit of a homebody. So did that to tie me over, thinking I would try and do the master's program.
Okay.
But a year after uni, they brought in, if you had a high enough GPA, you could transfer across. So thankfully I got into that. And
So did physio start at the uni, or you just...
Yeah, so we were actually the first graduate year. So when I finished, there was actually no guarantee we would have our degree. We had to get checked off by the board of physiotherapy in Australia to make sure we were all competent, but thankfully
interesting.
that happened. So I got our degrees. And
I did a degree at Wollongong Uni, and it was an IT degree, but it started out in the arts. Then it moved to the mathematics. Then finally, the third year, it had its own department. So I know what you're talking about there.
The evolution of education.
And the requirements kept changing. Some years you had to have experience, some years you didn't. So must have been a bit tricky not knowing whether it was going to get that piece of paper at the end or not.
Yeah, I had a fair bit of confidence, to be honest. All of the people that lectured us and gave us tutes and stuff, to me, they seemed so knowledgeable and they were all very confident. So I didn't worry too much about it, but I'm kind of like that a bit in life. I don't try to... to be honest, I am a bit of a worrier, but I try not to worry about things you can't control. And some of the people in the degree were a bit more worried, but I figured, we'll all be good.
Sort itself out, work with what's in front of you, deal with those problems, I guess, rather than worrying about the long-term ones.
Yeah, and worst case scenario... I can't imagine they would have said that you've wasted 4 years. We probably just have to go do an extra year in Adelaide or wherever it would have been. So
interesting. Okay.
It's a lot of waste because it's to get into the routine with the uni life and all that kind of thing. So
yeah, we definitely felt like we were learning a lot. And in physio, after the first kind of year, you do so much prac.
Yeah.
And those prac coordinators also work with all the unis. So I would be on placement with different people, and they were all saying we were doing good. So had a fair bit of confidence.
What kind of placements did you do?
So I did 5. 2 were actually in Wollongong. So that's kind of why I moved here after I finished. I quite liked it here. So that was my first taste of Wollongong.
Okay, so so you moved straight after uni to Wollongong?
No, I did 1 year in Canberra, and then actually the job I was in, they lost the contract and made us all redundant, but he said, I've got a job for you in Wollongong.
Okay.
And I thought, I like the town, so I'll give it a go. I thought I'd come here for a year. After doing a winter here versus a winter in Canberra,
it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so just go back, what pracs did you do? What areas did you kind of get some experience in?
So my first one was in the subacute stroke ward in Canberra Hospital.
Oh, okay.
And that's probably when I really realised that I quite enjoyed that area of physio.
Okay.
I always thought I was going to do sports, and growing up I had a goal to play cricket for Australia, but unfortunately I wasn't good enough, so I was like, well, the next best thing I could be is the cricket physio and I can just hang out with them all. But yeah, in the subacute ward, seeing some real difference after even just 5 weeks with them.
And
I really
with
enjoy
people
it.
and seeing them improve and become more capable?
Yeah, helping people get back on their feet and
I'm sorry
learn
to
to walk
interrupt there,
again.
but just for myself and listeners, I'm assuming as well, what exactly does subacute mean?
So the acute is after it first happens and they go to hospital, and so they usually spend a few days to a couple of weeks on the acute ward stabilising, seeing the doctors, the neurologists, and getting all of that sorted out. And then following that, they get sent to the essentially like a rehab unit where we work with them for 6 to 8 hours a day.
So it's more or less the time frame in between the point of, let's say, injury or damage and then when it gets treated, yes?
Yeah, and then we come in and help them get back home, or if they're not making enough progress, then kind of working with the outside communities and things like the NDIS to make sure that they can find suitable housing and things
Put them
like
on
that.
the right path, so to speak, yes?
Yeah, and help them get as much recovery as possible, because we know, especially following strokes, the first 6 months are super important.
Yes.
Not to say you can't improve. I think we can always improve throughout our whole life. But, yeah, those first few weeks and months are really important. So getting people back up and walking.
I'm just trying not to be as vain as possible here, but I'm trying to relate it back to my own situation. I didn't really have a stroke. I took a jet ski to the head and, Yeah, I'm just trying to say, they always said that the opening, the quicker you can get into it, the more benefit you get out of the rehab exercises, that sort of thing, or physio, yes.
I'm not just with, traumatic brain injuries and strokes have a lot of crossover because it's a bleed on the brain.
Yes.
But I think with almost any illness, early intervention's so important. So we even know with things like, breast cancer or any other kind of...
The quicker you can get it, the better it is.
Injury, I always tell my friends that have got a sore back, I'm like, I'll help you now because if you leave it 6 months, it just confounds and then it takes longer to get better.
It just, what's it called? It's like stagnates? Or what's it called when you leave something...
Stagnates, yeah. Yeah, it gets harder to fix. The longer it's there, the harder it is to fix. Yeah.
It gets too used to itself being unable. Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Okay, and what other placements did you do?
So we did one at the student-led clinic in the actual uni itself, which is essentially, I can't remember if it was free or like $10, but it was a private practice by all students. And then the first week you would essentially do the assessment and then go talk to the supervisor, and then you go do the objective assessment and go talk. And it was slow, but it was cheap. So I guess we got most of our clientels were students who had, sports injuries or sore backs from studying hours in the library.
Okay, interesting.
Or post-drinking problems, as you know what uni's like. And it was okay. I didn't mind it.
What, the drinking part or the learning part?
Yeah, uni's lots of fun, but I meant the practice at the musculoskeletal ward.
Yep.
I had one in Bulli District Hospital, which is probably another area I found a bit of passion in, which is essentially just helping mostly Jerry's now, although
Jerry's?
Geriatric populations.
I thought Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Yeah, get back to how they can get home, and if they can't get home, then helping them, find suitable placements and, a bit of rehab post hip replacements and things like that. And I really enjoyed working with the older population. I think they've got so much to teach you, and
experience-wise, yes.
Yeah, I find them, I just really enjoy working in those populations too. So a lot of my work now is through my aged care, and I quite enjoy that. But then I do a bit of stuff with the NDIS too, which I quite enjoy. So I'm not just nailed into one.
All right, so you finished uni. And what was the company that you worked for that year after you finished uni?
I worked for a company called Help Street. So it was a hybrid job, which is kind of why I took it. Funnily enough, I finished at a funny time of the year, and I just was like, I'll get a job, get some experience. I think I wasn't going to be one of those people who left uni and applied for the Australian cricket team. I thought I'll get a job and do some work and get some experience and learn, And this was a hybrid role of 2 days in a clinic, working with a physio. I quite liked her, treatment principles, and I thought she could teach me a bit. And then 3 days doing nursing home work. Funnily enough, I wasn't that keen on that side, but I was like, I've enjoyed the Jerry stuff before, so I might like it. And I actually probably enjoyed that more than the private practice work at the time. So
okay. And then that job finished up and you moved to Wollongong?
Yeah, and so I came to Wollongong with them. I guess just outgrew the job a little bit.
Okay.
And kind of changed companies, and then I've changed a little bit around. And
we might just hold that thought. We'll come back to that. I think we'll break from music now, and we'll come back and find out a little bit more about yourself and hobbies and things like that, and a little bit of what happened after that.
Sounds good.
And earlier on you said that you were a big fan of John Mayer.
Yeah, I am a pretty big John Mayer fan, I got to admit. So.
We'll also talk about it, a little bit sooner, but Jake's used to be in bands and everything as well, a bit of a musician, so we'll touch on that soon.
But strong musical background, lovely. And the song, John Mayer's song I'm going to play for you now is John Mayer, Waiting on the World to Change, released in 2006. Here we go.
Rock on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, as I said before, that was just John Mayer, Waiting on the World to Change, released in 2006.
Good song, good choice.
Now let's get back to it. One of your favourites there, was it?
Yeah, I'd really like John Mayer. I think he's probably underrated for his proficiency in guitar, but his radio tracks don't always show it off. But if you're interested in hearing some pretty wicked blues guitar, I'd suggest checking out his more album tracks that don't really make the radio.
Oh, so there's less people-friendly ones, yes?
Less commercial.
Not people-friendly, less
commercial. I would say that, because I think he knows how to make a pop song to make himself, make the money.
The bills.
Yeah,
that's right.
But then he's got some really clever stuff that I quite enjoy. So I spent a lot of time.
As a guitarist, I'll have to look into it.
Yeah. And so in a second we'll talk about, once you moved to Wollongong and what you did there. But let's talk a little bit about your hobbies and things like that. One of them, you said you're a musician.
Yeah, so I love my music and I love playing guitar. I love playing in bands and stuff like that too. But sport's probably the next biggest one.
Yeah. Before we move on to sports, tell me a little bit more about bands. What have you played in bands? What did you used to do?
Yeah, so I was in a metal band growing up. Yeah, I thought,
like a heavy metal band where they talk like this when they're singing.
Yeah, a bit of that
Bad
stuff.
Impression.
Yeah,
Classic metal?
Yeah, like kind of like melodic stuff, post-hardcore. I grew up in that I don't know what you'd call it, the 2000s emo era, so
Okay.
I love that kind of stuff.
So very detuned, yeah?
Yeah, but Parkway Drive are touring at the moment and I'm kicking myself for not going because I've seen their live set and it looks amazing at the moment. But yeah, that kind of stuff. But
was there a good gig scene in Canberra? Is that where you played a lot? Or
yeah, Canberra's not too bad actually. I would say the gig scene and nightlife is probably one of its qualities.
Selling points?
Yeah, the basement. And to be honest, bands used to go there a little bit more, but they still get some pretty good acts. So I've seen some pretty good shows in Canberra.
I remember seeing Pearl Jam down there years ago and the tickets, the places sold out. It was in the what's that open area thing you hit just as you get to Canberra from Wollongong, the convention centre or something?
Yeah, Epic.
Yeah. And it was epic too. It was fantastic. Beautiful night.
Yeah, that's where they have
Pearl Jam
the
ripped.
Canberra show and Summer Nights if you're into
Showgrounds,
that.
that's all. Yeah.
We used to buy fireworks from there back before they banned those.
And so did you make like a living out of it or was it more entertaining?
No, it was more just for fun. I mean, it was my dream growing up. I thought that's what I was going to do, but as you get older, you realise you got to pay bills and
not every band makes it to the top.
Yeah, no,
I don't think you're alone. Everyone has the rock star dream.
Yeah, so I wanted it to, but I was always, I also wanted to play footy and cricket for Australia, but I was semi-reasonable about the fact that there's a lot of hard work, a lot of luck, and not everyone makes it,
And there's something of a bit of a gap between reality and the dream factor.
Yeah.
Bit of an X factor there
X factor worked out beautiful.
There are lots of really good bands that have never made it, past the local scene that probably should have, but you just don't have that sort of luck or spark or
the right
connections or whatever it is, I don't know.
The right producers.
Yeah.
There's many different factors at play.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my bandmates and the drummer in my current band. It's been in pretty much every band I've ever been in, but even just finding 5 blokes you're willing to live on a bus with and travel around the world.
Yes.
That can be one of the most difficult parts too.
Yes. Yeah.
So the Gallagher brothers just got back together, but
I don't think it's going well.
yeah.
For how long? That's a different story.
So yeah, it was always a bit of a hobby, but my dad was pretty good at fostering my dreams, but also keeping me in touch with reality. So he definitely pushed me to study. I wouldn't say I was very good at school, probably until about year 12. When I started paying a bit more attention. I can't say he didn't help me be the best musician I could be because he paid for my guitar lessons and guitars and he coached my footy teams and drove me to all the trainings. So yeah, fostered it, but also was like, maybe you're not going to make it, so also
What's your
pay
dad's
a bit
name?
of attention.
First name?
His name's Craig.
Shout out to Craig for being a good dad. Well
Yeah, no, he's
Good
also
stuff, Craig.
He's a great dad. I couldn't ask for better parents, to be honest. I've been pretty blessed like that.
And Mum, we'll give Mum a shout out as well.
Yeah, Kathy.
Craig and Kathy, CC.
Good stuff.
Cool. And then you, let's pick it up the thread there. You moved to Wollongong, doing some work. What were you doing when you moved to Wollongong?
So yeah, I moved here as a physio and I was only doing 4 days a week at that stage, which I look at now because I work 6 to 7 days a week now. So what a time to be alive. And I was only doing 4 days, but it was good because I was kind of just exploring the area and I was a bit younger, so I was having a bit of fun and I was working a few nursing homes up and down the coast.
So mostly aged care?
Yeah, it was just aged care when I got...
Oh, just aged care, okay.
When I came to here, the hybrid role wasn't part of the swap, so yeah, it was just aged care.
What are, I guess, the most common things that you do in aged care? Are there the top 5 things that most people in aged care do, or is it sort of again mostly hip replacement, recovery, or
The most common therapy?
Yeah,
I mean, it's changed now, but when I first started, it was this thing called ACFI.
How do you spell it?
It's an acronym.
An acronym.
Aged care funding instrument, I think.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
And it actually was pretty poor, I thought. It needed a big change, and thankfully that's come. But supposedly you were just meant to essentially provide pain relief. But I was very much on the idea and train of thought of I'll see the person and how can I help them So whatever way they needed. So things like, if someone got hurt, you would do their rehab, but some of them had goals of, walking further, so we'd work towards that. And then often falls is a big issue in an aged population, so I was really passionate on working with people to prevent those.
So when you say pain relief, was that more treatment orientated rather than capacity building orientated?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I was very focused on the old train of physio. I mean, not to take away from any older physios that may be listening, but it was a lot more hands-on and electro modalities, which definitely has its place in the occupation. But unfortunately, ACFI was only registered or recognising massage and TENS, which is putting the electric nodes on. And I mean, there's evidence that it can work, but I also think, we know for knee osteoarthritis, if we improve gait and strength, that can work too.
What's gait?
How you walk, essentially.
Okay.
So, your mobility, your gait cycle and things like that. Sorry.
Okay. So, like walking with a straight back, or like, are there elements to that?
Yeah, so things that you'd look for is like heel strike, or as your landing foot in front, toe off. So those are some things you see quite often post taking back to the NDIS kind of work as well, is you see a lot of people landing on a flat foot or toe first. So they're big things.
Okay.
Looking at the extension through swing phase. Yeah, it's broken down into different phases.
Isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, we spent lots of time at uni watching people walk, and it's definitely part of...
Measured it down, yes.
Yeah.
Because they told me when I was going through my rehab that the biggest part about measuring the gait was actually your step length.
Yep.
Making sure that you weren't overstepping or understepping, because that would mean you'll be closer to losing balance and falling over, especially if you're understepping or overstepping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And consistency is important too, because your brain gets used to taking the same length of the step. So if it suddenly is shorter, like when you kick your toe and you're walking and you stumble. So yeah, shout out to any of my participants that are listening, because I do a lot of step length work with them and set them up with exercises.
So you kind of train yourself into repeating the same mistakes.
Yeah.
You don't learn from your own things. When I did a lot of pretty much deep physiotherapy, but I know me being a science person from my days at university, I kind of took more interest into it. So, because I did a lot of what you were talking about before. Was it physiotherapy at all?
Yeah,
Physiotherapy. I did...
TENS and massage and stuff?
No, I did advanced medicinal chemistry, but I got into a lot of the...
You were studying that at uni, yeah.
A lot of the anatomical side of things and the biochemistry, that kind of thing, related to physiology.
And biomechanics.
Yes.
So you do that gait very mindfully, so that you can, I guess, do it unconsciously later on, so your body knows how to do it automatically, but you have to be very conscious about it when you're first doing it.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's... essentially, it's a learned process. We just don't remember learning it because we were all running around in nappies.
Yeah.
So when we learn as kids, or for kids with not traditional trajectories, obviously there are lots of diseases out there that can change that. But then obviously you get.
Do you find when you're walking down the street at like Woolies or Coles or something, you're noticing people's gaits and problems they've got, or ways they can improve?
I do it too, and I didn't go anywhere near the level that Jake did over there, so I just noticed different things. Yeah,
I try not to. I mean, I can see people and be like, "Oh, he's got a sore left knee."
Yeah,
interesting.
I decided pretty early on that unless someone looks like they're in trouble, I generally don't make comments because you don't want to be that dude. It's like, hey, I know everything. So but I mean, you see things, but I often also see myself in the mirror and how I'm sitting and go, "Oh, straighten up." So I'm not saying I'm perfect either.
So roughly, what kind of percentage of people are walking? I'm not going to say correctly because that's a bit of a judgment, but appropriately or properly? Well,
I think in the most part, like most of our population walks pretty well because it's essentially been forged from evolution. So unless you have an injury, we all generally walk.
I've got a friend that just had some knee reconstruction work, and when he was going in to get the knee reconstruction done, the physio, or it was the surgeon, but said, you're walking wrong. And, and it turns out this guy sort of has been for a while and running wrong, and it put a lot of pressure on his knee. And that's part of the reason why he had this operation needed. So, interesting.
I think something that's probably I find interesting and that I didn't look at enough when I was a younger physio is like addressing leg length discrepancies. So
leg length discrepancies?
Yeah, so we don't always have the same length arms and legs.
Okay.
And
because we're not clones.
No, but you're saying the left leg's longer than the right leg or something like that in a person. Yeah, okay.
And so, or sometimes it can appear that way because your hips are uneven because of muscle imbalances, and that can really affect your back. Like if you put a 1-inch platform on one of your shoes and go walk around all day, you probably have a pretty sore back at the end of the day. So I was probably too specific, even though my tutors would always say, you know, look up and down the joints, not just the joint that's in pain. But that's definitely something I think I've improved at as a physio, is not looking and going, oh, the knee sore, so let's just treat the knee.
Not
also what's happening at the ankle and hips.
Not being so focused on the critical point, yeah?
Not so much on the symptom, I guess, and more on the cause. And yeah, interesting.
Beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
Well, okay, it's getting to about 12:30, so I think that's news time, but I think I want to just say before we go, I'm going to play this one quick song first. Quick little bit of musical information now. Just the other day, one of the founding members of the band The Eagles, which we all know and love out there, he passed away peacefully in his sleep. The member was J.D. Souther. His age was 78, so he definitely had a good innings. Yeah, so he's probably the way we all want to go, but yeah, he had definitely had a good run, 78 years.
Does he play guitar, or do you know what instrument he was?
Yeah, I think he was a guitarist, singer sort of thing, because on the Eagles, they were all...
Yeah, a lot of them did songwriting as well, didn't they?
Yes, they were all... There was like 3 guitarists, and all the guitarists used to do singing, and the drummer was the singer, and the bass player used to do some backing vocals as well. But yeah, it was all very a group effort sort of thing.
And a lot of strong harmonies in their songs.
Yes,
there?
very.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the song I'm going to play. Is called "A New Kid in Town," released in 1976 from the eponymous album Hotel California, which we all know and love if you're an Eagles fan. It was also the first single released from the album, and it was co-written as well with Don Henley, the drummer, Glenn Frade, another guitarist, and of course J.D. Souther himself, another guitarist. So it was very group family effort sort of thing. And also, a bit more trivia, it reached number 1 in the US, but only number 20 in UK.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very...
different tastes.
I don't know what the go is between different countries,
different musical tastes.
Maybe it was more CD sales, that kind of thing, or song sales.
Possibly marketing, maybe the Eagles hadn't toured.
Sorry, no CDs in 74, but there you go. Yeah, marketing.
Maybe the Eagles hadn't toured in the UK, so it might not be as big, possibly.
Anyway, I'll play the song. Yes, as I said, I don't think I've said it yet, but I'll say it now. That was just Roxy Music, well, mainly Brian Ferry as the lead singer there, with the song Jealous Guy from 1988. From the album Stereo Play Highlights, CD 34. Bit of an extreme name, but there we go. Actually written by the Beatle, John Lennon. There you go.
Just quickly, what was that Eagles song again?
Eagles song?
That you played before?
A New Kid in Town.
What year did that come out?
1976.
Yeah, okay, cool. Interesting.
There you go.
Cool. All right, back to Jake.
Yep.
So, physio. What is a physio? I should say before I say that, we had a few physios on, so just give me a bit of a quick rundown on what a physio is, but I'd really like to expand on why is a physio important? Like what role, how important is the role that the physio plays?
It's a good question. I think every physio would probably answer it a little bit differently.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm sure there's an actual definition of it, but I probably couldn't recite that word for word.
We don't need that. We want your definition.
Yeah, what's it mean to you?
So, yeah.
I like to think physios are movement and exercise specialists, particularly in the area of injury. Physios are diagnostic and prescriptive, so they can look at a problem and diagnose it without having to have further imaging or assessment from another health practitioner. So we are first contact practitioners, which I think is a big part of it, that we can identify the cause.
Or better yet, I'm just going to say you don't need more numbers or anything from different scans from different expensive machines, that kind of thing. You can always do it just from sight and that sort of thing, yeah?
I mean, I'm not saying scans and radiologists aren't important.
No, they're very important.
Any radiologists listening, love you guys. You do great work. But
we're talking about the first touch base assessment.
Yeah. So you can come in off the street and see a physio and they can say, you've got a grade 1 ankle sprain and be pretty confident that they're correct.
Yep. But then they would need the scans to assure their first initial assessment, yes?
But I think he's also saying different to like a GP. A GP wouldn't be able to maybe diagnose that because obviously they've got a much wider range of things that they do.
It's not quite their field.
Yeah,
yes.
They'll send you off for an X-ray or a scan or something.
If you need something confirmed.
Yeah, interesting.
And then in terms of the movement and exercise specialists, obviously I love sport, so I think there's a different place for those kinds of movement specialists. But in terms of, around injury and as particularly in the neurological field, so, dealing with spasticity and helping people with strokes, to the musc field of helping people with their backs and sore knees, to also, there's lots of work that lots of physios do around the chest. so helping people clear their sputum.
And
Post-heart attack.
Cystic
fibrosis, yeah. My name is actually Jakob. I was named after a Czech boy who my mum cared for, who passed away with cystic fibrosis, so hence the name. But I go by Jake.
Yeah, because Jakob is Jacob, yes.
Yeah, in English, yeah.
Of course.
So what is a physio? It's such a broad question because there's so many areas to it, and I remember learning this on the first day and thinking, oh man, I thought we just run out in the sports field and chucked out around
spray.
a few ice packs. But yeah, I think the ability to really hone in on what's the issue, but what's causing the issue is probably pretty specialised to physio. But then also acknowledging that there's beautiful work done in paediatrics. There's some lovely women's health physios who are really helping girls out there post-pregnancy. There's lots of different issues that they work with too.
There's quite a lot of specialisation fields available within physio.
Yeah, like that's one of the things I quite enjoyed learning about through the uni degree. And it's one of the cool things as well, I think, being a physio is that if you're not happy, maybe doing the sports stuff, you can almost have a whole new job working with, a stroke population.
I actually think that's one of the secrets of success of longevity is having that change and moving on and
different avenues,
not becoming bored.
Yes.
And well,
it's the old cliche of a change is as good as a holiday. So
yeah.
Nice
and
work.
so you've got your own organisation, CME Physiotherapy. What does CME stand for?
So the C stands for my last name, Proud Chapman. I love my family, and my dad and my brother both run businesses and they have that in their business names. And then the M and the E stands for movement and exercise. So I like to think of myself as, helping people move better and exercise with purpose to achieve their goals. And so you put that all together and it's CME. I also realised after I made the name, it kind of sounds a bit cheesy, like see me, but... Yeah, that's...
I didn't realise that.
It's a certain bit of ownership too. Chapman, movement, exercise. Come see Chapman for movement and exercise.
Yeah, so I
like it.
Yeah,
what you do's on the label, so to speak.
Yeah. I don't know, I don't want to...
Get too deep.
Slag off other physio names, but I thought a lot of them were kind of similar sounding things, so I wanted something that was just a
unique,
bit different. Yeah,
and very personal with having a surname in it.
Yeah, I like it, and I kind of like things that people just read it and see CME, but to me it means something, and if you ask, I'm happy to tell the story.
Just as a little bit of a side, you were talking before, your brother's a farrier, which does horseshoes. What's the name of his business?
Chapman Farrier Services, I think. CFS. Yeah.
Okay.
Chapman Farrier stud as well. He also breaks and trains horses.
Yeah, okay.
And then Dad's is Canonical Solutions, but under the Chapman business. So,
Interesting. All right. And so tell us a little bit about your business and how it works.
I have a few phases of the business. I help some participants through the NDIS. We're NDIS registered.
So that's mainly people with disability?
Yes. And then we also have some My Aged Care clients as well, so helping people stay at home for longer, which is definitely a passion of mine, having worked in nursing homes. The people in there are awesome, and we want to try and make it as best we can when people do get there, but I think most Australians value staying at home for as long as possible, so I love trying to help people out in that aspect of their lives too.
Oh, because I know you, because a couple of places, or a place I look after, a group home, you come out and work with one of the residents there. So, but you've got a mobile part to the business and a clinic as well. Yeah, so I have a practice in East Corrimal, working out of the doctor studios there too. The doctors there are awesome, and I'm happy to give them a plug. So, some great doctors. And
just
near is it the Food Works or that little supermarket?
Yeah, just in there. Yeah. And I live in Taronga, so it worked out perfectly when I got the opportunity to kind of partner up with them. I was very happy because, I should run to work more, but yeah, it's not far to drive in the morning anyway, that's for sure.
Sometimes time works against you.
Yeah, and we do lots of workers' comp stuff in there too, so I quite enjoy having, like we kind of said before, touching on having multiple facets, and I think it keeps my skills up too, working across different areas.
Yeah, okay. And that sort of, what do you call it, variation what you're doing as well, so you don't get bored or burnt out or... over one small aspect of something. You have that variety to...
And I think there's definitely crossovers too. Like, I might have a participant in the NDIS who's dealing with a traumatic brain injury, but they might also then have a rotator cuff issue. And that skill is more leaning into the MUSC side of things. Musculoskeletal, yeah. Sorry, I'm not very good at not talking physio.
Every area has their own lingo, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So you've obviously done a lot, been around for a little bit of a while, not too long, looking at, you look like a pretty young man, but can you tell us of someone you've worked with and something that, really caught you in terms of improvement with that person and really fired you up to be a physio or to stay in physio?
Yeah, there's a couple of clients. The first one I think of was a man, I won't say his name, but he was a Fijian of descent, but had been living in Australia for a few years, and just one of those really kind people, and he had a stroke. And when I first saw him, we did a bit of work together and an assessment and some goal setting, and he was like, I want to walk out of the hospital.
Yeah.
Was that likely at that stage when he said that?
No, everyone was telling him there was no chance. But I don't really believe...
That's what they said to me.
Yeah, I don't really believe in that, especially having done this for about 8 years now. I've seen a lot of people get told they won't do things and then they can do it, so... Yeah.
What did you feel when someone told you weren't going to walk again, Tony?
Well, I've got to be honest, I wasn't. Something more that they told my parents, because I was still in a coma at that stage. They told my parents that I wouldn't walk, talk or move my arms or anything ever again. So basically one of those people have to be tube fed. Yeah. But
here you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's definitely a fine line, because I don't like to foster unachievable hope either.
Yes.
But I think having a level of realism but being optimistic is important. Yeah,
and I've worked with a lot of doctors with, young kids with disabilities and diagnosis, and often the doctors are very pessimistic. And I've had chats with doctors that say, look, why are you like this? And they go, we don't want people to have their dreams dashed and, the unreal expectations. But I'm also like, you've got to have hope. Like if you're told that it's not going to happen. Like
I've had the same question with different doctors, and they can make more sternly in that sort of respect. There's more. We don't want to give them false hope or anything, so we just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
And that's what they've come to know over. They've seen God knows how many more different cases. They've all ended very similar or the same sort of ways.
Yeah.
And chances of people like what I've done, how I've come through this is just like 1 in a million sort of situation. And
yeah, but I
you can't base it all on one situation.
I think it does sometimes rob people of just the hope that something will improve.
I'm not saying at all that they shouldn't go along with that sort of idea, but the more or less over that sort of thing, when they come back, people come back and they get sort of blame them for not being able to walk anymore when the reality of the situation sets in.
Yeah.
So they're playing it safe in that respect.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting. It's no judgment. It's just the fact that I've observed it and you're interested in it. And something they're taught, I don't know if you were, Jake, but it's something the doctors actually taught, doctor school of, not doing that and, underselling stuff rather than overselling. So, interesting. So what happened to this guy?
Well, he buckled in and he did everything he could and he worked really hard and thankfully he had some pretty good outcomes from, following his stroke. But we had a care conference, and I'm not taking any of the credit for this because everything I was doing was under the supervision of the physios there. I was still on placement, but we were sat in the room with his family and he walked that day on his own for the first time with a frame, and 2 of us helping him, but we still got that walking. Yeah. And he was like, because I won't do his accent, but he said, because of Jake, I can walk today. And I didn't believe that because I've just essentially a vessel to pass on the knowledge that people have given to me and the doctors and the nurses, and it's a huge team effort. But
and the person's got
heard
it from your lips.
So
you can't just learn to walk again by reading a book. You've got to put hard work in, but
he heard it from your lips.
Yeah, and him too, doing the effort. But hearing that definitely changed the way I thought about that. Until that point, all I wanted to do was change people's lives with my guitar riffs. But hearing that, kind of realised that I could probably have a bigger impact on, helping people than just trying to do sweep solos. So
a more direct impact that you can actually see with your own 2 eyes. Whereas with the guitar work,
and possibly more profound. Although music does, is a very important part of people's lives. But
I can say from the musical side of things, it's more to people, like many more people. But there will never be people that you will see with your own 2 eyes.
You never get to see it.
That's a good point.
The doctor sort of things is more personal.
Yeah,
the physio stuff is definitely more personal.
Did this guy have like family and kids?
Yeah, he had a wife and kids.
Amazing.
And so then on my last day I helped him walk out of the hospital, which was awesome. And then I had another client we worked really hard on together to get him back being able to play guitar, which was big because he kind of lost a lot of use of his hand.
Yeah.
But,
it's a very fine motor skill playing guitar.
Yeah. So, I haven't seen him for years. So whether he got back to where he wanted to, but, they essentially told him he'd never be able to do it, but we got him back to do some basic stuff, so... Yeah,
play Smoke on the Water and all those things that people play when you're first learning, or only learning. That's the other thing. I've been learning guitar.
Yeah, well, if you put it in drop D, you can play, major and minor power chords pretty easily. So.
Yeah, too technical for me.
I like to look at what people can do and how we can make them do what they want rather than focusing on what they can't.
Or what they can't. That's right.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for coming in today, Jake. That was amazing. Great story and
very enlightening, eye-opening.
No worries. Thanks for having me. That's
all right. And, CME Physiotherapy, if you Google it, what's a good number that people can call as well, a phone number?
On 0427 175 407.
And like we said, he comes out to you or you can come to the clinic, either.
Yeah. Want to just repeat that one?
0427 175 407.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for coming in and sharing your story.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Anyway.
That was a good interview from Jake. How good was that?
It was.
Yeah, very interesting.
Eye-opening, yes.
Yeah.
It's always something different to hear things from the other side of the fence.
Yeah, because of all the physio work you went through, you've got that version of it, or that vision, or that side of it. And
well, I said, I considered physio for me was the necessary evil, because if I didn't have the physiotherapy, I wouldn't be able to walk or anything right now.
Is it painful, all the physio?
Well, the fact that I had certain muscles that hadn't moved or anything because I was in a coma in a bed for a long period. But yes, it was painful from that respect, but
rewarding and
very
worthwhile.
Rewarding, indeed.